I do love a good milkshake. Sorry, that's all I've got for the intro to this Gunpowder Milkshake. Watched this with my partner Liz. We actually did a synchronized viewing with another friend of mine online so that we could text each other, which was a little bit enhancing on it. But overall, this was so much fun. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what it is, and then I'll tell you what I love about it. I don't think I need to get into spoilers really on this. So, Gunpowder Milkshake is a film now on Netflix. It stars Karen Gillan as an assassin, a John Wick-style assassin working for a sort of shadowy order known as the Firm, and eventually doing something that gets her on the wrong side of them. So her former bosses now want her dead. And she turns to people like her mother, played by Lena Headey, and the librarians, played by Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, and Carla Gugino. Hope I pronounced that right. I might have screwed it up. But it is an over-the-top action movie. Now, I mentioned John Wick earlier, but that's really not the correct comparison. What this really feels like, more than anything, is this feels like a spiritual successor to the Clive Owen movie, Shoot 'Em Up. And what I mean by that is this is my favorite kind of stupid. This is a movie where the stuff that happens and the action scenes and the way they go down are utterly ridiculous. The movie knows it. That's the point. That's the fun. So, if you've ever seen Shoot 'Em Up, you should know whether or not you will like this movie. Because if you're here for something more somber, but still like with really cool action, like John Wick, no. If you're here for something more grounded, realistic, gritty even, hell no. Not only is it ridiculous, but like everything about this is amped up to 11. The outfits are up to 11. The visual palette, there's so much neon in this, is ramped up to 11. The characters are not fully fleshed out characters. They have 2 character traits, max. Who cares? It's so much fun. At least it was to me. It helps that the action is really well shot. Lot of long takes, and when they go shorter takes and more cuts, it's knitted together the way it needs to be to not feel jarring. There isn't a lot of handheld, there isn't a lot of shaky stuff, which does a lot to help this go down right, but this was a blast. The action scenes, I kept alternating from moment to moment between laughing my ass off and going, oh, because it's hilarious and brutal all at the same time. And each of the characters that gets into these fights has different things going for them. The characters, while not deep, being pretty thin and superficial, are still fun because the few character traits they're given are enjoyable to watch. They bounce off each other really well. Everyone in it is good in the action scenes. Karen Gillan absolutely like whatever training she was given initially for Nebula, they have built on top of that. She is absolutely tearing it up. And honestly, seeing her in some of those scenes with the other women, I forget how tall she is. I'm looking at her in some of those scenes going, is that from heels? And then I double check her height. I'm like, no, she's just that much taller than them, which just makes her a little bit more badass. Even the kid, because yes, there's a kid in this. Even the kid's not annoying. Kid's not amazing. Like, nobody performance-wise is amazing. I think the movie as a whole is amazing, but like, the kid's not annoying. They added a child into a scenario that is driven by adults and violence and a situation where a kid should feel like an anchor around the movie's neck by their presence, but it doesn't. And she fits in. The whole thing was just so fun. Dumb fun is hard to do well. It's hard to do something that is stupid but immensely fun and not have it just be stupid. That's not an easy thing to pull off. And lots of films fail at that. They try to be fun in a way that lets them get away with stupid stuff, but it doesn't work. Either it's not fun enough, or the stupid stuff is too stupid, or the whole thing is just not put together competently because they're thinking, it's a stupid fun movie. We don't have to, know the basics like how to shoot a damn action scene worth a darn. No, it's none of that. It's well crafted, well put together. Artistry went into this, but this is not a piece of art. This is artistic work being put in by the director, the actors, the fight choreographers, the cinematographers, in service of a piece of glorious trash. And there's a lot of stuff that it does that's just, I love that it doesn't draw attention to it. Because every single good guy in this is a woman. And every single person that they fight is a man. But there's zero attention drawn to that. Nobody at any point has a line about girl power. At no point do these men underestimate them because they're women. It's just a thing the movie does. So again, something that a worse made dumb movie would have gone, circled that with a big massive highlighter or made a thing out of it. This movie just does it. Because it's like, people will get it. Let's focus on the dumb fun action. And there's a lot of great action scenes in this. So if I were to pick one, like I toss up between two. There's the one in the bowling alley, which is, first of all, shot very well, has that alternating between laughing and awe that I mentioned. And unless you've seen it, this is going to sound bizarre. Using a panda-shaped suitcase as a weapon is now my new favorite thing. I don't know if that's my favorite, or the one that happens in the hospital between Karen Gillan, and these three guys, all four of whom are dealing with varying levels of incapacity. Because they've all gone through crap, so nobody's at their fighting best right now. The way that I'm not going to tell you how that goes down, but the way that Karen Gillan preps for that fight, and then the way the fight goes down, again, alternating between laughing so hard and just, oh God! Because, the hits hurt. The sound design is great to really make the hits land. There is CGI blood, so people who get picky and uppity about CGI blood versus practical blood. Pretty much all the blood is CGI in this, and I could tell. So if that is a hang up on yours, fair warning. For me, I'm okay with it here because the times that it's deployed are scenes where I don't know how feasible it would have been to add a practical blood effect to that shot without having to cut it up. Because the times where I found it most notable were these long shots where using CGI blood meant they didn't have to break up the shot. They could just continue on and this thing happens and we keep going, which I love. So I will take the pacing and the construction of the fights over the use of practical blood effects, even though I will also concede practical blood looks better. So if you can, you should, but if you can't, this is a good reason why you don't. So there's that. If I was going to make any actual complaint, other than just pointing out guys, this is dumb. It's great, but it's dumb. So you need to know if that's your vibe or not. Yeah, it's dumb, fun, violent, amazing, but dumb. The best dumb. If that's not your flavor, then just don't. But if that is your flavor, about the only substantive criticism I'd have of this is that a little bit like Shoot 'em Up, come to think of it, it's not quite an anticlimax, but the action highlights are not the final confrontation. Actually, that's a problem with the first John Wick, come to think of it. I think it's an issue where these set pieces they escalate, but when they get to the final confrontation, they try and have it be a bit more of an emotional climax. But both this and Shoot 'Em Up aren't really movies that justify a particularly emotional climax. So I kind of wish instead they just escalated to an even more absurd action scene, kind of a bit like what Birds of Prey did. They don't do that. So the ending feels a little low-key when compared to the entire rest of the movie. The film seems to be aware of that, though, and it's constructed something, and I'm not going to say how the finale goes down, but it's constructed something that is very in keeping with everything that's gone on, but is definitely not even trying to stand on the same kind of action pillar as the ones I mentioned, or the assault on the library, which also has some really great stuff in it. It's not even trying to compete with those. So I think the film knows, no, please don't compare this to those action scenes. But those action scenes were so good and so memorable, I kind of wish you'd end it on a note more like that, as opposed to the one you did. That said, that's just me going, what you did was fine, I might have preferred something else. It's not really, it's only as big a problem as you make it, basically. It's not a massive, deep flaw, it hardly kills the movie. This thing is an absolute blast. And I recommend that anyone who likes violent, dumb fun, give it a look. Gunpowder Milkshake. Have you seen it? Whatever you think about it, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. What was your favorite action scene? Feel free to get more spoilery in the comments than I did in the review. I don't know how widely viewed this is, so I didn't want to drop too many direct spoilers of some of the amazing elements of the action stuff. Oh! So, let's see those comments. Tell me what you loved. But you don't have to do that. You can support me on Patreon if you feel like it. There's a link. You don't have to really do that either. I'd appreciate it, certainly. But we take a relaxed attitude around here. The likes, shares, subscribes, they help me out. So that's more than enough. But you don't even really have to do that. Just feel free to come on back next time you need a break. And some insane action. Whew.